Hey, what's up everyone? It's J-Man here, and today I wanted to make a video breaking down exactly how to get the brand new exotic hunter helmet, the Mask of Bakris. At least it's how I think it's pronounced. You probably recognize this mask from some of the Beyond Light trailers. It basically replaces your stasis subclass dodge ability with the new shift or blink ability, if you will. So let's get right into the video detailing exactly how to get this. So before you can get this exotic, you have to go through the entirety of the story mode first, and also do the first quest that Varix has to offer after the campaign. Once you complete that first mission, you should be able to go to the Cosmodrome and see a new legendary lost sector of the Exodus Garden 2A. You notice here that if you complete this solo, you actually have a rare chance at the exotic head armor. Now this is recommended power level 1250. I personally did it at 1216 and heard of a couple of people who did it lower than me, so if you are in the ballpark of that power level, you do have a fighting chance of beating this solo. So before we do jump into the legendary lost sector, I do want to take a moment to break down the entirety of my build, including subclass, weapons, and gear. So starting with my subclass, I'm using the new Revenant Hunter Stasis subclass. The reason for this is because you're going to want to freeze enemies throughout the lost sector to make taking out champions easier. I'm using the standard Glacier Grenade and Withering Blade. I'm using the triple jump for some extra mobility, and I'm using the Gambler's Dodge to get my Withering Blade back a little bit sooner if I can dodge near an enemy. Looking at the weapons, I'm using a Cold Denial Pulse Rifle with Swashbuckler, a Divinity that's going to have Overload rounds for the Overload champions, and a Falling Guillotine Boss Melter. Looking at the gear, I'm using the WORMHUS crown. I have a Recov mod on here with 2 sword ammo finders, and I do have Protective Light on in the event that I do get charged with light. It's going to give some extra damage resistance. Looking at the arms, I'm using another recovery mod here just to stack that up, a pulse rifle loader and anti-barrier pulse rifle rounds for my Cold Denial. There are barrier champions in this lost sector, so we do need to be careful of that. And then the last thing I'm using here is taking charge, so when I become charged, or I can become charged with light by picking up an orb of power. Looking at my chest, I'm using a mobility mod, a sword reserve mod for my Falling Guillotine, Concussive Dampener just to help out with the area of effect damage, and then I'm also using THLUCENT Blade. So while charged with light, dealing damage with the sword gives you bonus sword damage for 5 seconds, consuming 1 stack of charged with light. So this is going to help because we're going to be using our Falling Guillotine a lot. We can get charged with light, do some damage, and then get bonus damage immediately. Moving on to the legs here, I'm going to be using a minor mobility mod just to help out a little bit, and then a couple of sword scavengers so when I pick up when I pick up ammo, I get bonus reserves for the sword, and then I'll also get a high energy fire, so when I'm charged with light, I'm going to be doing some bonus damage as well. Last but not least, on my cloak, I'm using one more mobility mod, Outreach, because it's basically the only thing I can fit, and then Striking Light. So the way that Striking Light works is while I'm charged with light, defeating combatants with melee damage and swords will spawn another orb of power. And if you remember, we have Taking Charge on, so when we do pick up an orb, we're going to get, charged with light again. So basically, it's a way to infinitely sort of maintain our charge with light when we're using our sword for some extra damage. So with that being said, let's hop right into the Legendary Lost Sector and talk about how it's done. So when you first load in, just be ready. There's going to be a Void Servitor that you can take out with your Falling Guillotine. He doesn't shoot you at first, so take out these shanks, find the Servitor, and use your Falling Guillotine to melt it. Once this Servitor is melted, there's going to be a series of dregs that spawn. You can play your distance with the pulse, just chip away at them, hold on to your lives. You only have 3 respawns in this until you kill additional champions. So you don't want to waste a life on a dreg. Really just take your time, pelt away at them. Now once all of the dregs are killed, or nearly all of them, there's going to be an anti-barrier champion that's going to spawn on the right-hand side with a couple of shanks. What we need to do is we need to freeze the anti-barrier and take out the shanks, because if you try to kill the barrier before killing the shanks, you're going to get melted. So you can see we throw the grenade to freeze, and now we can start to kill off the shanks. Really make sure you're using your abilities here. Don't be afraid to play it safe. Charge up your grenade, charge up your melee, kill those shanks first. Again, playing our grenade here. Let's get this last shank. Now we can take out the barrier. So I'm going to use Divinity until he pops his anti-barrier shield, in which I will switch to my Cold Denial to take the shield out, and now use Falling Guillotine to melt him. What I tried to do is I tried to get the champions down to a 3rd shield, and then use the Whirlwind Blade attack to finish them off. The next section, once we kill the barrier, is going to spawn an Overload champion. You need to be careful, not like I did there, because there's going to be adds that can snipe you on the right-hand lane while trying to take out the champion. Your options are play it safe, play it slow, and take out all the adds in the back, or you can try to lure the champion into the left-hand side of the arena and then stun him and use your Falling Guillotine to take him out. Here you can see the Overload teleports into the left-hand side. I can stun him. And again, Falling Guillotine. Let's get him down to 1/3. Spin to win. For the next section, we're just going to be taking our time working through adds until we get into the next section of the encounter. I recommend jumping up on this little ledge here to take out this Vandal. He is pretty pesky and has some health, so just take your time, watch out for his snipers, they can one-hit you. And what's going to happen is we're going to start to push forward, and exploding shanks are going to come outside of the right-hand door. So we'll push up. Here you can see the shanks. You can move right back, keep it safe, try to take one out as soon as possible so that they ultimately blow each other up. And we're going to play an extremely patient game right now of trying to take out all of the adds that are around this truck. The reason that we want to be patient and take out all these adds is because right behind them are 2 champions, 1 Overload and 1 anti-barrier. We'll talk a little bit about how we're going to take both of those out in a moment, but for right now, it's the patient game, clear adds by the trucks. Now, as you're killing your final adds, there's 2 things to note. The first is we want to move up a little bit on top of this building to spawn the next wave of adds, and what we're actually going to do is we're going to pop our stasis super here. It's going to freeze him in spot and take out a whole bunch of them. The other thing to note, there is an additional servitor aside from the anti-barrier that you can see in the right-hand corner. You do not want to kill that servitor, because if you do, it's going to open the door for the next portion of the encounter and spawn an entire new wave of adds that will probably kill you. So what we do, we run up, pop the super, kill as many as we can, make sure the servitor stays alive, and what we do is go back to our patient game of luring adds out and taking them out one by one. Once all of the adds are out, then we can take on the champions. Now, to take out the champions, we're going to do a combo move here. The barrier is going to be continuously shielding the Overload, so what we want to do is freeze the barrier and stun the Overload. We're going to get the barrier down to 2/3 of health, back up, use our pulse to take down the shield. That's going to give us enough time to re-stun the Overload and get back to our Falling Guillotine on the barrier. We should be able to take it out and then get back to recenter ourselves. Now all we need to do is worry about the Overload champion, wait for his debuff to occur, make sure he's in a safe spot, stun, and then boom, take him out. The last thing to worry about here is the final servitor. It is a void shield, so we can use our sword, take him out. Now, the next room is the boss room, and there's a little bit of a cheese here. Basically, if the boss is in a certain spot and we are far enough back in this room, he cannot do damage to us. So what we'll do is we'll sort of wait around for him to get into this top right corner of the next arena, and we can use our divinity spam and basically just take him out from a distance. Now, in the event that the boss is not cooperating and in the right side of the arena, you can push up a little bit and take out some of the ads. We're gonna need to run into this room ultimately to grab the chest. So yeah, you know, take out the ads. We're gonna wait for the boss to get into the right spot and really just divinity him to death. This is really the location that you want him at. You can see he's not really shooting back or retaliating. He's basically just hanging out in the top right-hand corner. We'll wait for him to come back. Here you can see we have a good angle. And it's basically the wait game. Do some damage. A lot of times he freezes in place. Hopefully there's some leftover special ammo throughout the encounter that you can go back and grab. But yeah, we're just gonna melt him here. We'll use our last bit of divinity to take out the boss, and the only thing that we need to do now is to survive and pick up the rewards from the chest. The encounter is not over once you finish the boss. You do need to open the chest. So take your time, kill a couple of ads. You know, you can use your super if you really want to. I use it here, you know, on some of the servitors that are upstairs. I use my dodge to make sure I stay alive with WORMHUSK. We can, you know, sword skate. And once you open that chest, the encounter is done. Hopefully you get your brand new Hunter Helmet exotic. But hopefully this tutorial did help you out. I know a lot of people were really looking forward to, you know, grabbing some of their new gear. So, you know, throw a like and sub and all that, and I'll see you next time.